Once again, it's time for
The Horror Guys!
Yay! I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin. And we're going to talk about some movies that are horror-ish movies.
Surprise! They're horror movies, yes.
Yeah. Well, I say horror-ish because Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, is horror adjacent in my opinion.
They're monsters.
Well, they're giant creatures.
How is Godzilla different from the werewolf other than just size?
I don't know. It seems more science fiction-y, fantasy action.
Well, this one particularly is just more straight up action silliness, but
Yeah.
it's still monsters.
It's adjacent. Yeah. Anyway.
Godzilla movies count.
Okay. Well,
And if
apparently
Godzilla doesn't count, neither do any of the movies we did last week.
I was going to say, clearly they do count because we're doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we got that's brand new 2024. And then we got a smaller scale problem of Imaginary, another 2024 film.
Did we just imagine that we watched that movie?
No, I don't think we did.
We really did.
Yeah. And then we're going to take a look at a short film, and then we're going to take a movie within a movie that's some filmmakers getting murdered in Knife Plus Heart from 2018. And then we're going to spend the night in a convenience store with Open 24 Hours from 2018.
What could be more terrifying than spending all night in a convenience store? Not much.
Well, we find out. Yeah.
And those are the ones we're going to talk about here today. If you would like to read about our bonus reviews, go over to horrorbulletin.com and take a peek at 1957's The Mysterians.
Awesome title.
There's a giant monster and aliens.
And, yeah.
We both hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dull.
It was tedious.
Yeah.
Yeah. The monster is very brief. It's a giant robot that they deal with pretty effectively.
It's a robot Godzilla that dies in about
these,
15 minutes.
Quite often in these movies, the whole thing is, we cannot destroy this monster. And it's like, they shoot at it some and it dies. But then there's a whole thing with aliens that goes on. And we thought it was kind of a slog. Yeah, not a great one.
What was the one last week? Astro Monster something?
Which was so much better.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same basic idea with the aliens, but this was just, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention it was hard finding a good copy, and we had to watch it on YouTube. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, that didn't help that it was grainy. Yeah.
And the other movie we watched was 1967's Son of Godzilla, which appears to have been restored for Criterion. It's very bright and clean, and
yeah, that
it
was
was a
sharp
whole lot
looking.
better than I remember. I mean, it still got its silly points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They were starting to get a little childish there, but better than I remembered.
Yeah. But as the title implies, Godzilla has a son who hatches from an egg, and
Manila.
he's little cute, little cuddly, and there's some antics and madcap
A lot of
adventures,
antics.
and it's more of a silly one. Yeah.
Yeah. They started getting more and more kiddified at this point.
Yeah, but there's still some scary monster fighting. There's a giant mantises and a giant spider that is the archenemy. And
I remember there being kids in almost all of these movies.
really?
But it turns out, I was doing some reading, that it was mostly in the Ghidorah movies.
Oh, okay.
Which was a different company's cheap knockoff version of Godzilla. Which we're going to have to watch some of those someday real soon.
Okay, yeah.
There's a whole string of those, and it's basically, the dollar store version of Godzilla.
Okay, I'm not sure if I saw those.
I'm sure I've seen a few of them back in the day. This time around, though, we've got the latest in the new 2014 series of Godzilla films.
2024.
We have the series
said
started in
20.
2014.
Oh, right.
With the Godzilla from
yeah, the
2014,
reboot.
and then
Right.
all the ones after that continue.
Yeah, the timeline with the Monarch Corporation and all that.
Yeah. Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire from 2024, directed by Adam Wingard, written by Toby Rossio, Adam Wingard, and Simon Barrett, stars Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, and Dan Stevens. Hour and 55 minutes. Kind of long.
Worth it, though.
Spoiler free what happens.
This was far more action and science fiction, but it touches on the horror element, as we discussed a little bit. There's giant monsters and carnivorous plants, and a big, mostly glossed over body count. Because we were thinking about it afterwards. They don't show a lot of people being killed. There would have been thousands of people killed in
probably
this.
Millions.
Well, in the big picture.
They drove. The monsters went through France. They went through Cairo, and
I
they
don't think it
totally
was-
flattened Rio.
I don't think it was millions, but certainly thousands.
Lots.
Yeah.
And yet at the end, the monsters were all okay, so it was a happy ending.
It was, yeah, and they just completely gloss over this massive body count. And don't overthink the questionable science and physics. The special effects are really good. We thought it was a lot of fun. It moves really fast and has a decent story. We enjoyed it.
A big, dumb, fun movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We both liked it, but we both admit it's pretty stupid if you
Yeah.
think about it.
Big dumb entertainment. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is brand new. Just hit streaming a couple of days ago, so we're not going to spoil it much. We'll get into the beginning here. We open on shots of a strange underground world. This is the Hollow Earth with pterodactyls. They're not really pterodactyls, but they're close.
They're something like it, yeah.
We start off-
More, I think these are more birdie, but
Yeah. We start off with King Kong being chased across a plain by giant dinosaur wolf hyena things. But we see that he's not a dumb monkey, as he's built an elaborate pit trap system that takes out most of them.
He is a smart ape.
He's a smart monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got this trap with a pulley and rope, and he's smarter than I thought he
He's
was.
prepared, yeah.
He then goes and he gets goop all over himself. He takes a shower and tries to have a snack, but we see that he's got a bad tooth.
Uh-huh.
Kong then hears a roar from the woods and goes to investigate. He thinks it's another ape like himself, but it turns out it's just an annoying frog. A frog that roars like he does.
With a great big throat that swells up and rah. Yeah.
We then cut to a voiceover by Dr. Eileen Andrews explaining linked ecosystems and the science of Hollow Earth and Kong. It's probably good to tune this part out. It's not
Well, it
natural.
fills you in though if this was your first movie in the series. Yeah.
I could see somebody seeing this for the first time and like, what?
Yeah. What? Science doesn't work like that.
It's not natural for Kong to be so alone. He's the last of his kind. Every day he searches for more like him. Well, if you've seen the trailers.
Yeah, there's some hints there.
Meanwhile, Godzilla is out fighting battles against the other kaiju, keeping humans safe, sorta. Whenever an evil kaiju shows up, Godzilla comes to beat the crap out of him.
But there's a whole lot of collateral damage in the process.
Yeah, he's not exactly your clean fighter.
Yeah, he's not careful about it.
Oh, and then the credits roll.
Okay.
There's a lot went on.
Yeah.
Godzilla is currently sleeping in the Colosseum in Rome. At Monarch Station inside the Hollow Earth, monitors detect a sinkhole and electrical anomalies near Kong's region. Soon, all the cameras go out. Meanwhile,
So there's an under the Hollow Earth.
yeah, hollow or hollow.
Hollower, yeah.
At Monarch's base academy on Barbados, a bunch of kids attending school near a portal. Because if you've
What
got
could go wrong?
if you've got a portal to an alien world full of monsters, you're going to build a school next to it.
You want your children next to it, yes.
Well, Gia, from the previous movies, she goes to sleep in class and has a strange dream. Freddy Krueger is not involved.
Perfect crossover.
Although you were
though.
expecting
they
it,
needed
weren't
that. Yes.
Gia is Eileen's adopted daughter, and she's adjusting to their world. She's also the last survivor of her tribe, the last of the Skull Island people.
They were the ones that were the caretakers of Kong and the giant apes.
They all got
of the
wiped out in
island.
one of the previous films.
Uh-huh.
Gia says she's worried about Kong. She's drawn disturbing pictures. Well, Bernie Hayes, the blogger guy we've seen before, who runs a Titan podcast, Eileen goes to see him for help with Gia's drawings and some seismograph patterns. Nobody ever comes to us for these things.
No,
We've
no.
got a podcast.
Yeah, we do. Are we seismograph experts though?
I can see 3 humps out of a line.
That
Just
wasn't
it
wasn't hard
wasn't
to
hard
spot.
Yeah.
She's having visions she kind of blacked out in class and she drew this shapes without even being aware of it. It's 3 bumps, and the seismograph has 3 bumps. Well,
Must
this
mean
isn't
something.
hard to see that they're connected.
Well, she wants Bernie to investigate things, but in the middle of their conversation, she gets a text that Godzilla is waking up, and they both go run to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, Kong climbs up out of the Hollow Earth portal. Gia says Kong is hurt and just wants help with his toothache.
Fortunately,
Really?
they have a dentist.
They have a
can
Kong
call.
dentist. They put Kong to sleep, and Trapper, the world's weirdest vet, rappels down onto his mouth to remove the bad tooth, which is as big as he is. He yanks it out and replaces it with an implant.
that they just happen to have ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bernie says that the patterns are a psychic distress call. Something down there is calling for help.
Okay.
Godzilla seems to be homing in on the signal as well. Eileen's team gets ready to investigate, and Gia and Bernie tag along. They launch their flying machine. These things are clearly not current technology.
No, that's the science fiction element.
And head down into the portal to Hollow Earth.
Yeah, it's like these are like in a parallel reality. It's now, but the technology is like hundreds of years advanced
Well, we've
past where
seen
we are.
the Monarch monsters on, was Apple or something.
Uh-huh.
They didn't have anything like that. They were fairly modern technology.
Yeah, they didn't have anything as advanced as this ship.
Yeah.
This is something. Yeah,
Maybe this takes place a little bit in the future. I don't know.
a little.
Well, they enter into the portal at the same time Kong does, so they all go together. They fly to Outpost 1, which has been destroyed. Everyone's gone. And I think we probably should stop there.
Yeah, because more stuff happens. Lots more.
Lots more happens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's probably like 15 minutes in, tops. All right, so ain't nobody going on to Rio on vacation anytime soon, that's for sure.
Yeah, they really ruined that.
The big final battle.
Nobody's going to go see the Great Pyramids anymore unless they rebuild them.
Nope. You can probably guess what happened there.
Crunch those up. Yeah.
My opinion is these movies are spaced too far apart. I kept trying to remember which creatures. There was mention of Mechagodzilla, and I didn't remember him showing up in one of the previous films.
But he did.
Yeah, he did.
Uh-huh.
And there was a mention of Mothra, who I guess showed up too.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen these films 3 or 4 years since the last one came out. Come on.
Yeah.
It's probably better to rewatch the older ones from 2014 to present. I think there's only been 4 of them, including this, to catch up on the storylines. This was probably only made worse since we've been watching all these old movies as well. We watched the original movies like just last week.
Mm-hmm.
It gets confusing.
Yeah, it does.
The special effects here are just amazing. I didn't care for the main villain's design, but everyone else is just excellent. If you like the earlier
I
ones,
thought the main villain was okay. Yeah.
he just didn't seem that tough.
Well, yeah. I think he was, old and wiry.
Yeah.
He was ancient, and he was thoroughly tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you like
I thought he was okay.
All right.
Yeah.
If you like the films for the earlier and the modern era, those 2014 and up, this was very good, and it's a good continuation. We both liked it.
Yep. Very good.
I wouldn't go into it blind, though. You really need to see the other modern Godzillas first.
It would really help, yeah. Uh-huh.
So, did you see that little guy over in the corner?
I imagined I did.
Oh. You see him too?
It's Imaginary from 2024. Directed and written by Jeff Wadlow. Also written with Greg Erb and Jason Orumland. Stars DeWanda Wise, Tegan Burns, Piper Braun, and Betty Buckley. Runtime's an hour and 44 minutes. And as usual, a trailer link on YouTube.
Hour and 44 minutes. I'm going to go right now and saying that's about 20 minutes too long.
Yep, I agree.
Spoiler free. Again, this is just this year, so we won't spoil it to death. But the lesson here is that imaginary friends aren't always friendly. It seems like it should have been better than it was, but they didn't quite pull it off. It was just sort of okay in pretty much every possible way. There were some interesting moments here and there, especially toward the end, but it seemed stretched out and a little on the dull side overall.
Yeah, everything. I mean, like you say, pretty much okay. Everybody. I liked the lead woman. I thought DeWanda, is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was very good, very likable.
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was of all the horror movies last week, this was one of them.
It was fine. Yeah. Just middling. Yeah. Well, spoilery synopsis. Well, not
too spoilery. Yeah.
No, we won't go too far. Well, Jessica hears something in the house. I'm sorry, we couldn't finish our game. Ben turns into a giant spider and chases her through the fantasy house. And then she wakes up next to Max.
Just a dream.
Yeah. Who jokes that they should call an exterminator. She's had that dream before.
She's afraid of spiders.
Mm-hmm. The pair, along with Max's daughters, Alice and Taylor, are moving to her childhood home. And credits roll. Well, Jess admits that she doesn't really remember much about living in the family home. She now writes and draws children's stories very successful published author. And one of the characters is a scary man spider named Simon.
Boy, it's twice spiders have come up. I'll bet we're going to see more spiders later.
There's a lot of spiders in this, yeah. Well, while playing hide and seek, little Alice follows a funny voice down to the basement, where she opens up a secret door and finds a stuffed teddy bear.
Hidden away from all the prying eyes.
Yeah. Well, the bear's name is Chauncey, and she takes him upstairs. Taylor meets Liam, someone for her to play with.
Boyfriend from down the street.
Yeah, She's the older sister, yeah. Jess figures out that she's not exactly winning at being a stepmother. She's having some challenges with the older kid. The younger one, seems okay, but there's some issues there too. Well, when Alice plays hide and seek with Chauncey, Jess hears someone moving around the house. Jess sees some indication of things moving in Alice's room. It's Alice and Taylor's mother, Samantha, who is completely insane.
That's not imaginary.
No, yeah. Taylor thought she was doing better and told her where they lived. She's dangerous. Well, Gloria, the next door neighbor, or down the street, or
I think she's next door.
Okay, right next door, yeah. Well, she used to babysit Jess when she was little. Gloria tells Jess about how she used to play with her imaginary friend. And no child should ever go through what you did. Gloria is a little mean toward the kids.
And of course, Jess has no idea what went on. She doesn't remember any of it.
She has no memory of her childhood, yeah. Jess goes to visit Ben, her father, at the nursing home. He did something bad to her at some point in the past, and he doesn't even really know who she is now. He does have a moment of clarity and warns her about CB, but she has no idea who that is or what that's about. Well, Big Sister Taylor has Liam come over, and he makes a mess. Alice suggests that Chauncey should eat him. He hears Alice's voice, and it's all very threatening. He ends up getting a big scare from a bear? Jess comes home and tells Liam's mother about his visit.
Okay, good stopping point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this bear gets weird.
Yeah, things get weirder from there.
Well, I think we've already commented on this one about is all there is to say. It's an interesting concept that we've all seen before. Visuals is good, acting is okay, but it's really just too long and stretched out.
Mm-hmm.
There are some interesting ideas, especially toward the ending. It just takes way too long to get there, and we really don't recommend it.
Well, middling. Didn't hate it, but meh.
You are far too generous.
I am, yes.
It's not bad. It's technically, it's got all the check boxes. It's just, somebody went through a checklist to make this movie.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, next up, we've got a short film for the week called Last Words, directed by Devin Cutter and produced by Brooke Flores. I don't know if that means written by or not, but stars Shay March, Nick Luberto, and Julian Crane. Little less than 10 minutes, and you can watch it on YouTube. Link in the show notes. What happens?
Well, Kira and Max are out hiking through the rocky hills. She falls, gets scraped up pretty badly, but she'll live. Max calls down to her asking, "Where are you?" He then says he'll come down to where she is. Well, when he doesn't arrive, she investigates and finds something she can't explain.
I like how she says, "I'm not going anywhere," and then as soon as he starts yelling, she hustles right up the hill.
Yeah.
Got better awful fast.
Her ankle wasn't as bad as she thought, yeah. Except she's not the first to encounter this situation.
Nope, something weird going on.
Yeah. And the location was really well done. It's all shot outside with real rocks and caves. Sound was great. The character makeup was excellent, and so was the creature effect. It's essentially a complete story, and we know what happened to all the characters, although we don't understand why. It's really good.
Yeah, we liked it.
Yeah, this was especially good.
A full story in less than 10 minutes, and it all looks good.
Yeah, good cast. Everything about it good.
Okay, next up is 2018. Oh, we're getting into the oldies now. Knife Plus Heart, and that's a little plus sign if you're doing a search for it. Mm-hmm. Knife Plus Heart. Directed by Jan Gonzalez, written by Jan Gonzalez and Cristiano Mangione. Stars Vanessa Paradis, Nicholas Maury, and Kate Moran. Hour and 42 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. This was streaming somewhere. I want to say Tubi, but I'm not absolutely sure now.
I'm not positive. And which nationality was it?
French.
It was French.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this, you tell us what happened spoiler-free.
Well, this was an interesting work combining the behind-the-scenes porn industry work with a slasher situation. But then it kind of switches gears into more of a supernatural story. we stuck with it, and things mostly wrap up at the end. Boy, it's a strange journey to get there, though, and we liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah, and I think maybe not spoil
Yeah,
this one too,
this is
because
a
it's
mystery.
not super well known.
It's a
and
mystery and a whodunit, so I'm not going to get too far into this.
It's cool because it's kind of a movie within a movie going on too, because they're making a movie.
And things happen in the outside
loosely-
world, and they put that into the movie.
Yeah, yeah. So there's sometimes where they start a scene and you're like, oh, that's weird and overdone, and then you realize, oh, that's their porn, or
They're making a porn movie out of the murder situation.
yeah, it's very weird. I
Well,
like
we
that.
open on someone loading a reel of film into a projector, and the film is of two men having sex as someone else watches from within the woods. We then cut to one of those guys in the movie cruising at a very low energy dance club where men wear masks, leathers, and other sexy outfits. It's a gay dance club.
But yeah, you were right about the low energy. That funny.
Oh, they're
'cause
not
it's-
trying real hard at
It's
that dancing.
real slow music playing, and they're just kind of standing there
Boom,
and
boom,
kind of moving a little bit. Some of them, yeah.
A young guy follows. One man wears a full black face mask, and he looks like someone out of a slasher film. Well, that's suspicious.
Considering what we're watching, we know where this scene is going.
A young guy follows Mr. Black Mask Face into an empty room. The young guy then gets tied to a bed, and the man on the mask pulls a knife, which is built into a dildo, by the way, and stabs the guy on the bed repeatedly. Who could have seen that coming? Oh, we did. Credits roll.
So anyway, if you haven't gotten some indication, this is pretty graphic. The sex, the situations, the violence. Yeah,
I'm trying to remember now. Was there any actual graphic sex?
the opening scene was pretty graphic, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're in 1979 Paris as Anne runs down the street looking behind her. She finds a payphone and calls Lois, who's working on her films. It's 5 a.m. and Annie is insecure, begging for one more chance. Lois says it's over and hangs up on her. I thought she was being chased by a stalker, but no.
No, she's
needy.
just being needy. Yeah.
Well, we cut to three nearly naked men dancing together on camera for a porno film. Anne comes in and we see that she's the producer. She watches through a peephole in the wall as Lois edits the films. In the morning, Anne goes to the quarry and checks out the men working there. She offers good money to be in one of her films. She gives one man her phone number and tells him all the details. He says he's not gay, he doesn't want to be in a gay porn movie, and refuses.
But it is a lot of money.
Yeah, money talks.
Yeah.
Archie, the director, gets a call from a detective about Carl. The police question him and Anne about the star of one of their films. We see that Carl turns out to be that young guy from the pre-credit sequence who was stabbed multiple times in the rectum.
Ouch.
Later, that's a pain in the... Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. it
The
is.
very same interrogation scene is reenacted later for one of Anne's films called Anal Fury. The people on set wonder who killed Carl. Could it have been one of them?
See, it's a murder mystery.
It is.
Murder mystery slasher thing.
That night, Anne goes to a much more energetic dance club. Meanwhile, there's a guy in the parking lot who has shot himself full of heroin and sits there in a stupor. The man in the mask shows up again, gets in the car with him, and kills him again with that dildo knife through the mouth. Okay, later, we see the guy from the quarry is playing the detective in Anne's version of the murder investigation. We're getting confused at this point.
A little bit.
Lois gets the word that they found Thierry, the guy in the car, dead. Anne wants to change the name of the film from Anal Fury to Homicidal. Not homicidal, homicidal. Taking advantage of the whole thing. In the filming, the detectives catch and shoot the killer, who is played by Anne. The movie is a wrap. And that's probably 20-30 minutes in. We'll probably stop there, because the whole thing is really a big whodunit, who's the killer, and all that.
And then it gets weirder on top of that, too.
It does.
Yeah, it's a very strange movie, but I liked it.
It's very interesting the way they weave the fake murder film into the actual investigation. What happens in real life is reflected in Anne's film, only it's much gayer in the movie. It's all pretty realistic until this guy shows up that he's got like, they call them bird hands.
He's got bird hands, like literally.
Oh yeah, they're claws, aren't they?
Yeah, and then
Then it gets weird.
From then on, it makes you go, huh? Yeah. What was up with that?
All right about the time Pierre tells Anne about birds, both Kevin and I felt the film shifted.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get that far in the description, but it's later on.
Well, prior to that, everything seems based in reality.
After that,
There's
it gets a
nothing
little more
magic or
fantasy
supernatural.
oriented. Uh-huh.
And after that, it starts seeming, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, skipping over that part. It's got a sudden shift in tone halfway through, but it does mostly make sense by the end. It was starting to look like a whodunit, but then sort of became a supernatural thriller by the end.
With a whodunit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's French. What you gonna say? These French people are strange.
This one was. I liked it.
Oui. Open 24 Hours from 2018. Directed by Padraig Reynolds, written by him also. Stars Vanessa Grassi, Brendan Fletcher, and Emily Tennant. Hour and 42 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free.
What happened?
Right off the bat, we see that Mary has trouble with her mental state and hallucinations. Oh, does she have the mental pills on her nightstand? I hate it when they do that.
Well, right off the bat, what,
Well, we're told she has issues, yeah.
We know she has issues, yeah.
This puts everything and everyone she sees as questionable whether it's real or not. And it seemed to rely a little too heavily on that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to say if it was real or not. But still, it was good overall with a strong cast and direction, excellent special effects, and the setting was, well, it was a convenience store, all right.
Yeah, and they built it.
Yes,
did
they
you
did.
saw that in the?
Yeah.
They completely built that set. It was very realistic looking. Although a lot of the
The
products,
back room seemed excessively large.
yeah, and the products very generic. A lot of
Bread,
yeah,
meat,
very few name
chips,
brands there.
Yes,
yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
What happens?
Well, we open at a gas station with police cars, flashing lights, and dead bodies.
This one's also a mystery whether it's real or not, or if there's a killer or not. So we won't spoil this one either. This is the weekend of no spoilers.
Yep. Mary wakes up in the middle of it as credits roll. Well, we cut to see her filling out an application, and she checks yes next to the question about felonies. Ed, the owner of the gas station, asks her questions and hires her to work the night shift.
He's pretty desperate. I think he would have hired her no matter what.
Yeah, well, he seems like a decent guy, though, too, willing to give her a chance. He does ask about the felony, and she admits that she set her boyfriend on fire, but he deserved it.
Totally had it coming.
Yeah, and she got out of prison 2 weeks ago. Tom Dugan, her parole officer, told her about this job. She goes out to the car and tells Debbie that she got the job. Well, she goes home and finds a man drowning a woman in the bathtub. I know you love to watch, he says, as he kills the woman with an axe. She says to herself, I know it's not real, as she shuts the door and takes a pill. Well, she looks up and Tom, the parole officer, is there. And he's like, what's in the bathroom? And she's like, nothing. And he looks and, well, there really is nothing in the bathroom. She did hallucinate that. He complains that she's unplugged her phone. He says she's paranoid and delusional, suffering from hallucinations.
We caught that. Yes,
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, we did, yeah. He gives her some vaguely threatening advice on staying out of jail. Well, Mary goes to the park and hallucinates seeing her boyfriend there. She tells Debbie that it looked like James, but Debbie reminds her that James is still in jail. As they talk, Mary hallucinates that Debbie is someone else, covered in blood. And she admits that her medicine isn't working as well as it should. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Debbie tells her not to tell the doctor or parole officer. And it is clear that Mary has some pretty severe mental issues when she gets a phone call from an unplugged phone. She tells Debbie about the bathroom vision. That actually happened. James killed a girl, many girls. And every time he was going to kill someone, he would call and play a song about raindrops. And so there's a lot of rain in this, and you hear that song a lot, too. Well, Debbie drops Mary off at Ed's gas station for her first night at work. Bobby is working there, and he says he'll train her. It's an awfully, crash course kind of training, but Debbie leaves, and we see James outside holding a hammer. Or, somebody in a, covered, they got the hood up.
Somebody who dresses like James.
Yeah. Is it really him or, yeah. Well, he hits Debbie and pulls her out of the car. And again, we don't see that it's him. It's somebody. Bobby tells Mary that the place has never been robbed and she can even help herself to the snacks.
Yeah, that's a job to have.
Yeah.
Except for the murder parts.
He shows her all the basics and then he leaves and Mary is on her own. Well, Mary is alone now, and we see James, or this person, stalking around outside. She goes out for a smoke, and we see the person loitering in the background. A trucker comes in for a fill-up, a flirt, and some snacks. He's weird, but harmless. We should
Probably
stop
yeah.
there, because more stuff happens, and people happen and things.
Well, we wondered at this point, did this town only have one cop? A cop comes to check things out, and something bad happens to him, and no one ever follows up on that.
Mm-hmm. That happens later.
Yeah, the dispatcher hears the cop die on the radio. He's talking in the thing when the guy hits him in the back. Never sent any backup. This is a story about Americans, but it was filmed in Serbia, which gives it a very unusual vibe to the grungy locations. Everything is just dirty. The gas station, by the way, is way bigger on the inside than on the outside.
Yeah, it is.
It's all the generic, no-brand foods on the shelf, too. Yeah, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as soon as we saw that Mary was on medication and hallucinating, Kevin spoke up and said, we can't be sure any of these people are even real.
Yeah,
That's the way Kevin
I
talks.
said it like that. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Referring to Debbie and Tom specifically.
Yeah, well, even Bobby and all of them, the whole situation, and it puts everything in question, which is kind of interesting because some of it is real,
Some of it's real, some of it isn't.
and
Yeah.
some of it might not be, but it's complicated. So
At the very
I thought they
least-
did it okay.
At the very least, they really did leave her out of prison too soon, or she needed a better doctor.
She needed something. Yeah, she wasn't ready.
Eventually, we think we know what's real and what isn't. Or do we?
Or do we? Yeah. So I thought it was a little heavy on that, but overall, a thumbs up on that.
Yeah, it was worth watching. I think the only one we really didn't like this week was Imaginary.
Yeah, that's the lowest rated in my book. Yeah.
All right, over at horrorbulletin.com, you can read up about the Mysterians. One of those old Toho movies. Doesn't have Godzilla, but it's got a very Godzilla-like monster in it.
With a lot of toys shooting at each other.
Oh, yeah. I think that was our biggest complaint. There wasn't enough humans. There was a lot of toys shooting at each other.
A lot of models,
Yeah.
the model battles. Yeah.
Not really toys.
No.
Miniature tanks and miniature
But it
spaceships
was
and miniature helicopters.
the alien weapons versus the human weapons, and those went on a bit too long.
Yeah. If it was done today, it'd be CGI, almost like a cartoon.
Probably would.
And of course, Son of Godzilla, which looked really good. It's kind of silly, but it was fun. I definitely kind of liked that one.
I'd go with Open 24 Hours as my favorite of the week.
More than Godzilla?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would. Yeah.
I like Godzilla v. Kong.
Yeah. Liked them both, but yeah, that'd be my favorite.
All right. You're allowed.
Okay.
All right, and that's it for this week. But one more thing before we go. Check out horrorguys.com for all our reviews. And from there, you can find a link to the Horror Guys Guides, where we've got the books about all kinds of movies. Movies from Vincent Price, and movies from Boris Karloff, and movies from Roger Corman. There's also links now to hour-long books.
I was just going to say, speaking of books, you should mention the free one briefly.
Hour-long books, yes. Hour, H-O-U-R, longbooks.com has a free book every week. And this week is Roger Corman, a biography.
Sadly, he recently died.
About 2 weeks ago, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did
Pumped out a whole lot of movies. In his early days, he directed himself somewhat, but
directed 50-some films and produced it
later
over
on,
500.
Produced so many things, yeah.
Yeah. And we've had the Horror Guys Guide to the Films of Roger Corman for a couple of years out now. You can pick that one up to read all about the movies that he directed. But the new one, the free one, free until Tuesday, is a full biography, more about his personal life and what about him than his movies specifically.
I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah,
But I'm biased.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like Roger Corman and those 60s movies from AIP and New World and all those places, check it out. It is free for a few days. And if you miss it, if you're listening to this recording, 6 months down the road, there's still a link to get it from Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Yep.
Either way is good. Well, that's it for this week. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.